I'm Amy Weirich, District Attorney General for Shelby County. On December 26, 2019, Antonio Smith Jr. was shot and killed by two on-duty Memphis Police Department officers. Pursuant to a memorandum of understanding with the police department, I was contacted by then Director Rawlings. In turn, I notified the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and asked them to begin a thorough investigation into the events leading up to and preceding the shooting of Antonio Smith Jr. Once they completed that thorough investigation, they delivered that file to my office. It is my responsibility to review the evidence along with the law and reach a determination as to whether or not state criminal laws were violated by an officer or officers on the scene. What you are about to watch is a very short PowerPoint outlining some of the information that was delivered to our office. You will also hear me explain how we reached our decision that no criminal laws were violated by the officers involved in the shooting of Antonio Smith Jr. You will also see on our website the complete file, every bit of information, every document, everything that was presented to our office by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to assist us in making our determination is shared with the public on our website. The late evening of December 26, 2019, officers of the Memphis Police Department responded to a prowler call. They searched the area and notified the homeowner that they didn't find anyone inside the home. While they were on that scene, they heard a woman frantically screaming for help. They left that home and followed the call for help from the woman and saw her near Hallbrook and Corning, yelling that someone was trying to kill her baby's daddy. She was outside holding a baby, screaming for help. Officers saw Antonio Smith Jr. nearby, holding a board in one hand and a gun in the other. They approached Mr. Smith, tried to get him to drop the weapon, tried to get him to drop the board, tried to get him to stop. He refused all commands. Officers were in uniform and identified themselves as law enforcement. Here's some still frame from one of the body-worn cameras. Mr. Smith is there inside the yellow circle. One of the officers is depicted within the white circle. Both of the officers shouted for Mr. Smith to put the weapon down. Antonio Smith approached the second officer with a board and a handgun after his path was blocked by the first officer. Officer had his gun drawn and ordered Mr. Smith to put his gun down.
What's going on? Hey! Hey! Put it down! Put it down! Stop! Stop! Get it down right now! Put it down!
According to the memorandum of understanding that I spoke of earlier, Director Rawlings notified me when this incident occurred. I then notified Tennessee Bureau of Investigation so that they could quickly begin their investigation. Here's a photograph of their violent crime response team on the scene gathering evidence. Here's the board that they collected that was held by Mr. Smith. Here's the pistol that was recovered near his body. An autopsy showed that Mr. Smith died of 2 gunshot wounds to the chest. Each of the officers fired. His blood alcohol level was 0.12. And the small black revolver that was found near his body and seen in the photographs in the body worn camera video was described by TBI as a replica firearm. In this case, these officers acted reasonably. They were justified under the law of the state of Tennessee to shoot in order to protect themselves and in order to protect others. The law does not require that they have to wait to be shot at. Mr. Smith's path was blocked by one officer, and in response to that, he turned toward the other officer, raised his hand with the gun in it, and pointed the gun at the officer. Again, under the law of the state of Tennessee, which controls in these cases, an officer does not have to wait for someone to fire at them. They are justified in shooting to defend their own lives and defend the lives of others. These officers had no other reasonable option given the actions of Mr. Smith. My decision is based solely upon what state criminal law says. My determination has nothing to do with Memphis Police Department policy or procedure. That is for the Memphis Police Department to determine. My review and my decision are simply based upon Tennessee state criminal law and whether those laws were violated. And it is the decision of this office based upon the thorough review of the investigation by TBI, based upon the law, based upon all the facts, that these officers were justified in shooting Mr. Smith.